Good morning. Day 90 on the trail. Oh, 90 days, 3 months. Wow. All right. Spent the night at Bearfence Mtn Hut, I should say. Had a very enjoyable time. There was a group of 4 young kids, engineers actually, but they were a pretty fun crowd. So we had nice interactions with them. Made for a pleasant evening. There definitely was a mouse in that hut because he ran over my head during the night. But just once, where Sir and I are hiking up the spur trail that led to the shelter to get back on the AT. And then we got 8 and change to Big Meadows campground and lodge. We'll try to find a spot there last night, or tonight. The lodge was booked. Hopefully there was a cancellation, and it's due to rain this afternoon. They're calling for thunderstorms, although the sky is perfectly clear. So we'll see. I guess it depends on how hot it gets. Excuse me. So our goal is to get there before the rain. If the lodge is full still, hopefully the campground has a spot and we can get something there. At least we'll have buildings. Well, that's the plan. Trail doesn't look too rough today as far as hills. Just a few little ups and downs. So that's our day. I'm too slow. Just saw a bobcat on the trail, but by the time I got my camera out, it turned into the woods and disappeared. It wasn't a big one, but that's my coolest wildlife sighting yet. Except maybe the snakes. I love snakes, but yeah. It was a nice sighting. Alright, trail's a little rough coming down from Bearfence Mountain. So I'm going to use my poles and I'll bring you back for all the good stuff I'm fast enough to take a picture of. Some wild garlic mustard. Remember, invasive species, so don't plant that. But what I really wanted to show you were these plants here. Sorry, I'm in the sun. They're called touch-me-nots. They grow in not dry soils, but more moist soils, not wet. Well, I think they grow in wet too, but they don't like dry soils. Semi-shade, semi-sun. What's unique about them, they're, let me describe them first. They have not woody stems, but almost, I want to say squarish stems, but square to roundish stems, a little translucent. The fun thing about touch-me-nots is, well, first of all, they have orange flowers. At least ones near me do. And oops, sorry, I dropped my pole. The fun thing about them is when the when the seeds mature, they're in a pod, and the covering of that pod is under extreme tension. What I mean by that is, if you touch the pod what happens is the coverings spring, or like springs, they recoil and curl with such violent force that it sends the seeds flying. Thus the term touch me not. If you touch them, they pop and send seeds flying. Pretty unique way of seed dispersal to get the seeds away from the parent plant and further spread your kind. So it's pretty cool. You touch them and they just like boing and scatter seeds. Pretty funny. We're about 4 miles out from Big Meadows campground. We've done a little finagling. We're gonna stop at the Wayside, Big Meadows Wayside, have some lunch. We arranged for a shuttle to take us into Luray and a hotel in there. So we're gonna get a hotel tonight. Then gonna take a 0 tomorrow so that we can be in town for when Turbo picks up Sir on Monday morning. It's a 0 I hadn't wanted to take, but I'm kind of going to be stuck with it. So that's the plan. It's supposed to thunderstorm today and tonight, so it'd be good to be under a roof. But like I said, we'll be in Luray for tonight, and then tomorrow I'll get back out on the trail on Monday, back at the Wayside, and I'll go on from there. So you know the plan, and I'll bring you back for anything good that we see. All right, here's something for you. Nice pile of bear poop. Although wildlife, we call it scat, S-C-A-T. Hang on a second while I get this off my wrist. Sorry about that. So, wild animal poop is called scat. It reminds me of a class, or a lab in a class that I had to take, and we had to figure out what a animal was eating. In particular, I was assigned, I think it was a fox scat. It might have been coyote, a long time ago. So we had to analyze what was left in the scat. And in this case, it was hair. And we have to pull out hairs from the scat, clean them up, put them under a microscope, and analyze the scale structure of the hair. All your hair has a particular design and shape of the scales on it. And we had a guide that would allow us to narrow it down into groups, like might be rabbits, hares, mice, shrews, depending on the scale pattern and the scale shape of the hair we extracted from the scat. Nowadays, they probably just stick it in a PCR machine and come up with a DNA profile that tells them exactly what it is. Takes all the fun out of it, Anyway, that's how it's done, or was done. in the past. And now, like I said, it's probably all just done by DNA analysis. All right, moving on to the wayside in another, I don't know, 3 miles or so. Well, since we're talking about scat, the other thing you have to analyze, and you can do this, you can order them, owl pellets. And owl pellets doesn't refer to their poop, but when owls catch mice, they swallow them whole, and their stomach digests all the meat, but it can't digest or majority of the bones and the fur. So what happens is, in their stomachs ball the remains up into this oval little pocket, what would you call it? This oval ball called an owl pellet. And they regurgitate it out of their stomach and out, and often, if you can find their feeding perch, a place where they like to eat their food the most, underneath it you can find owl pellets, which should be sterilized. You can buy them sterilized from a science place, but and what you do is you take apart the owl pellet and you can reconstruct the skeleton, and there are plenty of guides online. Once you get the certain shape of certain bones in the skull, you can narrow down to whether it was a field mouse, a shrew, or some other type of rodent. So that's another cool thing to do with kids and stuff. But yeah, analyzing owl pellets, like I said, you can get it down to mice. Certain mice you won't be able to tell apart, but mice, shrews, and other different groups of rodents. This is probably why it's called Big Meadows. We've been walking along the trail through these very open woods, relatively flat. A little ways out from the wayside. The sad part is, there's a lot of people coming through here with dogs, which is kind of making me sad because I miss mine. All right, a little less than a mile to go to get to the turn off to the wayside. So let me get to hiking. Look at all this golden ragwort. The most I've seen. Wow. Look at all that. Beautiful. Hey, look who's here to visit us. He's hanging out. Totally unconcerned. Bah. Beautiful animal. What a beautiful animal. Okay, coming to the trail junction. I'm gonna head up here. There's a parking area and then the wayside. I've heard so much about these waysides. I didn't want to go through a park without hitting one. So that's what I'm working on. Supposedly they got good burgers and fries, and everyone's raving about the blackberry milkshakes. So we're gonna see. Okay, we're at the Big Meadows Wayside. It's a store and a luncheon place. So we just had some lunch. We're gonna hang out here till our shuttle driver arrives. So we'll see you further down when we get back into Luray, Virginia. There we are. That was dinner at Vesuvio's. That's the Quality Inn where we're staying.